Hi, it's Delia. Thanks for clicking on. So today we're going to talk a little bit about meditation, or as I like to call it, energy work, energy workouts. Um, uh, Sometimes people have trouble beginning meditation. And the most common thing I hear and everybody hears is I can't not think for that long, or something having to do with thoughts. So if you've ever done any kind of energy work with me, you know that that's not a goal. Not thinking is not a goal. And I could never not think either. So any kind of a meditation that I tried the kind of the classic ones, and none of them worked. And anything having to do with following my breathing, or allowing the thoughts to move like clouds, none of those worked for me. Whether I thought they were stupid, or I would lose interest and fall asleep or get bored, or all of the other things. So I could never do any of those. And so when I started learning what I call energy work, that I could do, because that was, I could participate. And so it made more sense for me. So anybody who has success with all the classical kinds of meditations, great. Anybody who has trouble with them, that's fine too. There's as many forms of meditation as there are imaginations, and more. So there's no wrong way to meditate. There's really just a matter of what works for you. So none of the kind of, like I said, classical name brand versions of meditation worked for me. But the kinds of energy work that I found, again, not name brand stuff, no endorsed by CNN, no, none of the fancy stuff worked for me. But the kinds of things that I did find that were energy based, they did work for me. So that's the kind of stuff that I teach. But any kind of meditation, any kind of turning within, can be a big challenge. And one of the ways that it's a big challenge is, put it this way, if you have a pulse, if you have had a childhood, if you were born, there can be challenges to turning within. If you have a smartphone, if you do anything on the computer, if you are in this, if you were born, if you have anything to do with a smartphone, if you're used to the dopamine hit business and using your phone for engagement, whether it's social media or anti-social media, as I sometimes call it, or anything in the modern era. I mean, even if you are keeping up with the news, and I use the term loosely, then, I mean, so much of everything in the current world, marketing, advertising, television, stories, movies, streaming, it's all based on amping up and dopamine hits. And so you may or may not be aware about the whole dopamine business, but every time you click on the phone, every time you check your email, every time you check Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or every time you watch any of that stuff, you're triggering dopamine in your system. And so instead of having an external drug habit, whether it's any kind of drug. It's an internal drug, and you can search it. There's a lot of information about it. But the more you're doing a dopamine hit, the more you're stimulating, and then you have to have more and more stimulation. And the society is running on that, and businesses are operating on that. Everyday life is operating on that. Anybody who's in the prime of work life and having children is in that cycle of go, do, and, clicking all the time and checking up and trying to be caught up or up to date, which is an illusion, but there's a push mandate that you have to try. So if you're swimming in that river and now you're gonna, okay, I'm gonna sit down and meditate now, or relax, you're volunteering to interrupt that drive. And it's challenging because, first of all, you're interrupting a biochemical drive based on survival to keep up in ways that are impossible to keep up. But as long as you're continuing to try to keep up, then you're not losing, you're not falling farther behind. All of these are illusions, but they're the illusions that are keeping the world going right now. And so if you can keep these 12 plates going in the air, then you're going to keep these 12 plates going in the air. So the idea of you're going to stop now and you're going to go meditate for 2 seconds or 2 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, that's not making any sense at all, because you have to keep those plates in the air. So you can see how that would be a conflict of interest, apparently, right? So this is a huge challenge to meditating, because the erroneous belief, the survival urge, is to keep the plates in the air. And whether it's to fear of missing out, or it's you have to keep up with the Joneses, or you have to keep up with societal changes, or you have to keep up with what people are saying on the Instagram world, or in your social media, or you have to keep up with your husband and your kids and your friends or your family, or you have to keep up with what's going on at the office and what's required there. As long as you have to keep up with something that's other than self-directed, then and it feels like your survival is involved, your survival depends upon that, then being able to take time off of that to rest or to find some inner calm, it's too big a conflict of interest. And so it's not going to be supported. You're not going to be able to do it. So there are things that can be done, and which is why classes are a good idea, because whatever is up for you in particular, it's a good idea to be able to talk about what comes up for you, because some people, what comes up is not recognizable as survival. It's more recognizable as I get really tired and I fall asleep really fast. Or it's more recognizable as I can't slow down. It can show up in any number of ways, but the only important way is, how does it show up for you? So this is why having a coach for meditation, energy work is really useful, because how you, the beliefs that you have that are in conflict with your desire to begin to self-care through meditation and self-heal through meditation, how you have it set up and how you can start to make space and how you can start to unleash your ability to turn within is really crucial to your stepping forward and into your dynamic higher self, and how to be an infinite being with your body. Another thing that comes up for people is, and it doesn't necessarily show up at the beginning, or the awareness might not show up at the beginning, but it can be scary. And it can be scary to turn within. So if you have not everybody knows that they have these beliefs, but everybody has some beliefs from some points in their lives that being themselves is not a good idea. So maybe as a child, you were very rambunctious. Maybe you were very energetic and bright, and wanting to go, like play, right? And this was maybe tiring for your parents. And so you may have got the message to calm down or be quiet or go entertain yourself. Or you might have gotten in trouble for being yourself. You might have been, if you're listening to this, you might have been kind of psychic as a kid. You might have been empathic. You may have been able to read the energy and see what's going on. And the adults may not have liked that. This is very common. So if you were able to see the elephant in the room and not know that nobody else could see it, or that you weren't supposed to talk about it because it's obvious, and you talked about it, and then you got anywhere from, kind of shut down or shushed to smacked, you would have learned that maybe you don't know what it is that got you in trouble, so you're just going to shut down being you. And this is really common. So one can end up with the message that being yourself is the thing that got you in trouble. So when you start to turn within, it can be scary, because however young you were when you learned that being you is what got you in trouble, now you're like waking up, like saying it's okay to be me, but you don't have any of that vocabulary, and you're not cognizant of all of that. So again, this is where being in a coaching situation really helps, because then you can actually productively process the situation and actually heal that training, that experience, that child's conclusion of that experience, and free up that younger self and that energy, and start to turn within with a lot more ease and get a lot more freedom and empowerment. Because if you're living a life with a belief that you being you is the problem, or a problem, or the thing that got you in the biggest trouble, and like I said, a lot of people have it they're not conscious of it, but it's in there. Being able to liberate that and to transform that transforms all kinds of things. So those are two really big challenges to turning within. And another part of this is that turning within can also be a challenge if, for any reason, and there are a ton of them, for any reason, as a child, as a response to certain circumstances or events that happen, there's a younger part of you that came to the conclusion that not trusting you or not liking you or even hating yourself was the appropriate conclusion. And this can come out of lots of circumstances. It's usually trauma, because those are trauma responses. And whatever that's a response to, whatever that situation was, can be uncomfortable and scary. So again, if you try to meditate, if you try to turn within, and you come up against any one of these things, and you don't have vocabulary, and you're not aware, and you haven't met you kind of haven't met these energies before, or you have, but every time you have, it's caused you to like, okay, I'm not doing that. I'm going away from that, right? Then having a guide makes all the difference, because when you have somebody with you who has been through that and has experience with vocabulary and with what kinds of things could have happened and how to help you discover for yourself what happened, so that you can be free of what happened and get a little more space for yourself and some more energy. Instead of all of that blocked up, you can actually have more freedom. So all of these are legitimate reasons to not want to meditate. They're not permanent reasons, but they are things that have happened, and that they're roadblocks for a purpose, and they came into being as appropriate responses to something. And now may be the perfect time to experience, like, what could we do to change these things? What's possible for you other than what you've been experiencing? And turning within and having the power of infinite you, meaning a you greater than you've ever experienced or defined before. A you that is, often we'll use terms like higher self or greater you, that bright spark. So it's it's not your mind, it's not your body, it's not your history, it's not the stories you tell yourself, it's not the stories other people have told you about you. It's a you greater than that. And having connection with that higher self and being able to tune into that, and to be able to have that relationship and to have that experience on a physical level, to be able to sense and feel that energy and that connectedness makes a huge difference in every part of your life. So being able to turn within and connect with that higher self, which is not the objective of all meditations, by the way. Some meditations are about getting rid of the self. The energy work that I do, I was always drawn to, because I was aware of the higher self that is part of the universe, the great, amazing that is the source of everything. And that's what we are part of. And this energy work helps you to be able to connect with and be that part of you expressed through your body personality in this incredible planet at this amazing time, and be all of who you came here to be. So if you have any questions about that, I'd love to talk to you more about working with you. In the meantime, you can start to breathe and pat the body. I'll do it on my leg, on my shoulder, so you can see it. Just gently rubbing your legs, your knee to your thigh, breathing, and just entertaining the idea of coming into your body more. And the universe is on your side. And time is on your side. Yeah. And just see how that goes for a while. All right. Until next time. Bye-bye.